Welcome to the Financial Advisor Success Podcast, where you go behind the scenes with financial planner, speaker, and consultant Michael Kitces to hear stories of how leading financial advisors navigated the inevitable challenges that arise on the path to success, and get insight from leading industry consultants about how to break through to the next level in your advisory business. And now here's your host, Michael Kitces.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the 385th episode of the Financial Advisor Success Podcast. My guest on today's podcast is Danielle Howard. Danielle is the owner of Wealth by Design, a hybrid advisory firm based in Glenwood Springs, Colorado, that oversees about $35 million in assets under advisement for 35 client households. What's unique about Danielle, though, is how she has created a process she calls financial fingerprints to footprints, where she helps clients who are struggling to implement their financial planning recommendations by working with them to unlock their early money memories and help them understand how financial lessons of their past may be creating a financial identity that's preventing them from taking the actions necessary to achieve their goals in the future. In this episode, we talk in depth about how Danielle structures her financial planning engagements, which includes a 5-meeting sequence during the first year that explores both the client's financial situation and more of the whys behind how they view money. How Danielle uses tools such as Money Quotient and George Kinder's 3 life planning questions to dig deeper into clients' money memories and money identities. And how Danielle positions these conversations to occur after she presents her initial financial planning recommendations at a point where clients are already engaged enough and have enough buy-in to the process that they're willing to explore these somewhat more sensitive topics that can lead to real breakthroughs. We also discuss how Danielle's transition from having an insurance-focused practice to a planning-centric business was so influenced by her and her husband working through Kinder's 3 life planning questions themselves and making a major change. How Danielle has increased and reduced her client headcount to meet her lifestyle goals during different stages of her business. And how building a financial planning business has fit Danielle's personality as a cook who's able to make changes as she goes and season to taste in the moment, rather than as a baker who has to follow a certain fixed path to the letter. And be certain to listen to the end, where Danielle shares why she thinks women can make important contributions in the financial planning industry, particularly when it comes to listening deeply to clients and bringing integrity and authenticity to the table. How Danielle's own definition of success over time has shifted from gathering clients and assets to feeling that she is helping her clients succeed. And why Danielle thinks the financial planning industry offers advisors a unique opportunity to blaze a career path for oneself that meets our own individual needs and interests while being aligned to helping clients achieve theirs. And so with that introduction, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Financial Advisor Success Podcast with Danielle Howard. Welcome, Danielle Howard, to the Financial Advisor Success Podcast.
Thank you for having me, Michael.
I really appreciate you joining us today, and I'm looking forward to a conversation. At least I'd say, like, from my end, how I feel like financial planning starts to evolve for us as we go through our careers. You know, when I started, at least, maybe this is me over projecting, but I was very into the numbers, right? I studied the things on the books, and I loved my software and my spreadsheets and running the numbers. And you tell me your goal, and I'm going to analyze the heck out of this and make you an awesome financial plan that has all the right recommendations that optimize your path to achieve this goal. And then I kind of found this phenomenon. I guess for me, it was probably 7 or 8 years in my career, because I learned these things slowly, that I suddenly started to notice, like, my clients' goal, like, after I got a few years in, my clients' goals turned out not to be the goals that they had actually said were goals originally. Like, they said they were goals, and then we got to them, and then they started changing their minds and said they wanted to do different things. I'm like, well, if you had told me that this was the real plan, I would have made you a different plan originally. And then I realized, well, maybe I need to actually be asking some of these questions a little differently. Like, nobody told me in financial planning classes, when you ask the clients what their goals are and they tell you their goals, those might actually be wrong. And you have to, like, dig into that further. And I felt like I had no tools in the toolbox about how to have those conversations and how to explore that part of the planning process. And I know that you have built much of your practice around going very deeply into this. I probably far better than I ever did, and figured out how to do it. And so I'm excited to talk about, like, what that financial planning process looks like for you and how it's evolved over the years.
Well, I'm excited to share it with you. I think that I started out maybe not as numbers focused. because I was on the product side 30 years ago, where every quote unquote financial plan led to a product, primarily insurance sales. And there's nothing wrong with a good insurance product, but there seemed to me to be needing something behind it, something more, and starting to ask those questions about the why. Why are we doing this money thing?
So did you start out in the insurance side of the industry? Was that your initial entry path into this world?
That was my introduction. My former husband was in the insurance world, very successful in it, and I was supporting him in the marketing area and trying to bring folks in the door. And as we would meet with people, and the industry was shifting more into, ooh, you can do a financial plan. And I was introduced to new concepts from some innovators in the industry way back when. It just kept impressing upon me that there's got to be more to this. And like you said, it was like, okay, it's about the goals. You tell us what your goal is, and we'll give you the set path in getting there. And as as this industry is showing, that just because you launch from the launch pad towards the moon, that destination is always going to be shifting. And it's how we help clients deal with life that's important. How do we help them create healthy financial lives that include goals?
So I'm fascinated by some of this early journey for you. So where can you share with us a little bit more? Like, just where did you start? How did get going for you before you got to the point that you met some people who introduced some new concepts and changed your path?
I read the book by Lynn Twist, The Soul of Money, and was also involved in some Christian financial conversations with some of the Larry Burkett and the folks at the time. And it just got me thinking that this thing called money it's just a tool. And it's a tool that we use to as a flow of our intention. It's a tool to help us understand, what's and support us in accomplishing what's important in our lives. And so whether it's how we earn it, how we bring it into our lives, how we give and share it, how we invest it, how we nurture and grow it, how we spend it, that there's something that needs to be questioned about all of that. And if we can help clients to understand who they are in those areas, and show them how they might want to show up a little bit differently, they're more likely to accomplish their goals. But if we don't help clients understand who they are around their money and what a healthy financial life is really about, those goals are probably going to be less impactful for them, less fulfilling for them.
So you're taking all of this in while working in a practice that's primarily selling insurance.
Yeah,
That's
we started to shift to, what it would mean to do comprehensive financial planning for a fee. Way back when, it was like, okay, I'll charge $200 for a financial plan.
Yeah.
And that just felt like, how can I really ask somebody to do that? It's a big step.
So where are we time-wise? Like, how far back is this?
Yeah, this was about 2000. Oh my goodness, that was a long time ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what happened next? Like, what did you do when you wanted to start kind of going down this road and reading Lynn Twist and feeling this urge to explore further?
Yeah, George Kinder, the 7 stages of money maturity, all of those way back when. We decided to go independent. So to leave the insurance track and move into the independent space and start looking at what, charging for a plan and looking at what it would look like to do AUM, and really shifting from that product model to more the process, and it's been evolving ever since. My former husband, then decided to pursue his next life dream in teaching school, and so I was able to kind of shift paths pretty easily, because we were able to say, all right, we no longer sell product, or I moved to a hybrid model and have went through a couple broker dealers way back when, that we did have product available. I carried forward his policies and some of the trails that followed with that to get me up and going. It's like it had a little basis. I made this trajectory change, but it was like a 10%, 10%, 15, 20%, and then kind of completely in a different direction as I started creating our processes to, look at what true financial life planning was about.
And was that the goal and vision at this point, like to create a life planning offering? Because at this point, George Kinder is out there talking about life planning. Like, was that the vision and goal for you?
For me, it was. We had looked at, okay, you can continue on the insurance track, you can continue on the sales area, and I'm going to head off in this other way. And I'd actually done the money quotient training back in, I think, 2000 or just shortly thereafter, to say, all right, what kind of processes are out there? Because I am doing this all on my own. I'm trying to create the wheel. And at that point, you were creating your own wheel. What kind of questions do you ask people? What do you, how do we dig deeper into all of this? And so with some of the folks out there that were starting to put these processes together, again, I kind of found additional family members to start exploring, okay, what part of this can I take from them? What kind of, how do I imbue my own voice into all of this? So, it's been a continuous, I tell people I am a cook. I like to cook. I'm not a baker where everything needs to be exactly measured and you have to use the exact same formula. It's constantly, what does it need? It needs a little bit of this. It needs a dash of that. It needs a little bit more of this. We need to expand that. And that's what I love about this business, is that it's a continuous evolution and creative outlet for every advisor that it feels called to doing this type of work, to really get to know themselves, to understand their why of being in this business, and know that why is going to change over time. And because of that, their business model may change. It will continue to, unfold or evolve. And you need to be okay with that constant evolution.
So it's like, as you start preparing your first dish, as it were, can you take us back? Like, what did the process look like when you started down this road? What was version 1.0 when you're like, okay, my husband's transitioning teaching, I'm going in this life planning direction, I'm hanging my shingle with my hybrid broker dealer, and I need to start doing a thing for my clients to get paid?
Yeah.
What was
Yeah.
1.0?
1.0 was deciding to charge for a plan. And that was really scary, to be able to sit in front of a client and go, all right, I'm going to charge you $500,
It's a fascinating thing, like when you have to say it out loud with words in front of another human being. I used to tell a lot of newer advisors when they were getting started, like, practice just actually saying your fee in front of other human beings. I mean, like, start with your family and significant others. You're not even selling them. Like, just practice actually saying it and having the words coming out of your mouth, and not like doing what you just did, what we all do. Like, my fee is $500 unless you're not happy with that, and then I'll do it for 400 or possibly 300. And like, I can cut my fee in half before the client even objects.
Exactly. Exactly. Or I'll do it for free because you're friend and family. I know it's like you have to battle all of that. And yeah, especially, I don't know, this is something that maybe women may resonate a little bit more with, and again, I don't want to, completely put people in boxes, but I know women, we can sometimes have a harder time, standing up for what we're worth and calling it the way it is and knowing our value and saying, these are the services that we provide. This is what we're going to look at, and this is what we charge for it. So creating that scope of service, what all are we going to look at? We're going to look at your tax return. We're going to look at your estate plans. We're not CPAs. We are not attorneys, but we will look at them to be able to come back and tell you, wow, you haven't looked at your estate planning documents in 15 years and your kids are up and out of the house and you may, want to make a few changes in this, that, and the other, or, let's have you sit down with an attorney and talk about how this trust is lined out. And so making sure that we're just doing it in a comprehensive way that, we know what value we're bringing to the table, and it's more than just managing the investments or finding you the right, insurance policy.
So what did it take for you to find your fee confidence, your say it out loud and be able to charge what you're worth?
I'm still struggling. I still struggle with it. We have a base fee of 3,000, and when you go to conferences, they're saying you're not charging enough. So I still wrestle with it, and I think we probably always will, but we also feel we get fairly compensated. Could we charge a little bit more because the industry is, getting that these days? Again, this is where everybody has to figure out what fits for themselves. And we start at 3,000, we go up to, I think, 8,000. And there have been definitely times on that $8,000 plan that it was like, oh my goodness, we should have charged more for this because it was quite a bit of work. Yeah.
And what defines where someone falls in that $3,000 to $8,000 scope?
The 3,000 is, somebody coming in with, really basic planning needs. It might be a couple just getting started in their life. They've both got good career tracks. They're, making some money. They need to put an intentional spending plan together. They may need some basic estate planning. They may have a kid on the way. It's pretty basic, or a pre-retiree that, has one or two 401ks and, or an IRA out there, but it's not overly complex. You start getting real estate involved in commercial properties or businesses and complex trust stuff and, all the dynamics that, more high net worth clients have and are bringing to the table. And you're going to be talking to their CPAs and you're going to be talking to their attorneys. And, then again, 8,000 is not enough to probably cover the amount of time you're going to be spending on this.
So when you were getting started with this, and as I think about you're figuring out how to start having these life planning conversations and creating a meetings or a process around it, where did you start? I mean, like, were you like just jump right in with George Kinder's 3 questions and off it went? What did that planning process actually look like? That first life planning process look like?
That was actually right on. I mean, in fact, I had to go through it ourselves, and that's how Mark at the time ended up going into teaching. Is we sat around a dinner table with some friends one night, and we went through George Kinder's 3 questions. And we got to the end of it, and Mark had said, "I would regret not having taught school," and it's like, okay, we need to make some changes. and
Wait. So your training for George Kinder was what made your ex-husband like leave the business and go become a teacher?
Yep.
All right. So
Yep.
beware when you go down the learning path, it can hit close to home as well. I guess by definition, that was the thing he wanted to do and make sure he didn't miss without regret. So
Right.
apparently a
Right.
very positive change for him.
Yeah, and I think that's something that's really important. And what I really appreciated about the money quotient training too was that you have to do your own work first. You have to look at your own life transitions. You have to look at what's important in life for you. And then are you willing to walk the walk before you talk the talk? So in our personal journey, it was like, oh my goodness, well, if you want to leave this business and pursue a teaching career, we have some pretty major life decisions to make. And I supported him in doing that. And, it worked for both of us because I wanted to be in this business, and the way, we were shifting out of the product side, it worked fine. But to take that, I mean, that was a big risk, to say, okay, are we willing to do this work ourselves?
So, so you've mentioned money quotient a few times. Just for folks who aren't familiar, can you explain like who money quotient is and what they do, how they fit into this?
Yeah, Carol Anderson and Amy Mullen, they're a nonprofit, but they basically provide processes for financial advisors to walk their clients through the financial planning process. And, they hit all the areas that, a good CFP is our ethics, and we adhere to the standards of, true financial planning. And I start with, there's 3 worksheets that they start with, a life transition survey, a financial satisfaction survey, and a simple financial statement. And what I appreciated about that was it gave us a tool to start conversations with clients. Before that, I was coming up with my own conversation starters and, tell me about yourself and what's important about money and what was your earliest money memory?
And so they were giving you I guess alternative questions or conversation starters to use, just so you didn't have to figure out for yourself which ones would get the conversation going.
Right. And there's lots of folks out there that are walking alongside advisors to do this. And it's again, we don't have to do this on our own. There are resources out there. There's a plethora of them. And finding one that fits and you resonate with, or that you can glean from, pull pieces out and make your own. Again, that's my hope with some of the work that I've been doing, is that I've put my own creative spirit into it, but whatever people want to take away from it and create their own, fantastic. Another person that I stole an idea from was Dr. Ted and the Clances, Dr. Ted and Dr. Brad, the money egg, and the money memories. And that's what got me started on thinking about, wow, having people talk about their early money memories and looking how those memories then opened up their mindsets around money. And then mindsets lead to behaviors, and that plays out over the long run in your financial life.
So can you explain more what some of these tools and instruments are? Money egg, money memories. Oh, like what are these? How do they work?
So the money egg is circle on a piece of paper. You close your eyes and think. Then you open your eyes,
Okay.
and with your non-dominant hand, you either draw pictures or write down phrases, and you just let your mind go back and think about early money memories.
Okay.
So that can have a whole conversation in and of itself.
Okay.
What I did with it was I've taken it a few steps further in creating what I call financial fingerprints to footprints. And this is just it's a framework that I created in order to walk along either my financial planning clients And then we're also doing it in group formats. I'm doing it for nonprofit organizations and in kind of a workshop format. And it's a way for people to connect with early memories around money. Then I will have them, again, based on the work of Brad and Ted, write down with their non-dominant hand those early money memories. Then they might share either as a group or within, as a couple, what those memories are. Then we'll talk about what mindsets, what belief systems came out of those memories. And it might be, money is fun. It might be money is bad. People can be raised in the same family and have entirely different belief systems around money. So we then take that belief system and we question it. Is it serving you? Is it not serving you? Do you want to possibly look at something different? And then we go through what would you like to step into? So we're moving from, this is my money memory. This is because of that memory. This is my belief system about money. And then my behavior might follow that. So for example, if I had the early money memory of I bought my first bicycle with the money I earned, from babysitting. So my mindset around it was I need to work in order to have money to buy the things that I want to have. And then my behaviors, I've always worked. I've always, earned money to do the things I want to do. Somebody else came up with the money memory of my parents always argued. They were always arguing about money. And my belief system is money is bad. It's ugly. It's nasty. I never want to deal with it. So the behavior, it wrecked a relationship. It wreaked havoc on his family life because of how his past kind of created his trajectory in how he handled money. So then we ask ourselves the question, what do we want to do with this? Do we want to question it? Do we want to peel it apart a little bit? Do you want to see where it sits in your body? There's the whole somatic. We won't go into that today, but the idea that what do we want to do with this? Do we want to look at financial forgiveness? Are there people that we need to forgive? Do we want to forgive ourselves for making mistakes around money? And then what do we want to do moving forward? What do we want to step forward with? What might be a new identity that we would like to try on, that we would like to, consider or change a financial affirmation. I am financially healthy. I am a good saver. I am a wise investor. I am a generous giver. I am a intentional spender. So, creating this identity and helping people understand who they are with their money in my work with goal setting and with helping people understand how they want to move forward, you have to have a positive identity. When you talked about the elephant in the rider,
Mm-hmm.
what I like to think about with the financial fingerprints to footprints, it is widening the path for the elephant. And you're going to have to explain to folks what the elephant and the rider is now.
Oh yeah. So the elephant and rider analogy is, so if you look at how our our brains operate, there's kind of two systems that run in parallel. This comes from Daniel Kahneman's work, that he calls them system 1 and system 2, but kind of the analogy, like system 1 is like the elephant. It just kind of moves where it's going to move. It does what it needs to do to get through its day and cover its essentials. And the other part of our brain, what Kahneman calls system 2, is kind of like the rider on top of the elephant. Like, this is the logical, rational, look out in the world and try to make appropriate decisions part of the brain. And if the elephant is calm and not like emotionally aroused or stampede or anything, and the rider is fresh and well rested and ready to go, maybe the rider can kind of steer where the elephant is going to go. And if the elephant is angry and stampeding, or the rider is exhausted from doing too much for the day already, then the elephant just kind of goes on autopilot and does what it wants to do. And the interesting phenomenon around this is, the general view that a lot of us kind of take in the financial planning world is, well, if I'm going to help my clients, I'm trying to engage this little logical rider in the hopes that I can get the rider to steer the elephant to where we're trying to get it to go, right? Like, we're trying to help
Right.
clients overcome their irrational behaviors, which is a nice way of saying like where the elephant goes when the rider's not steering. We're trying to engage the rider to get the elephant to go the right place. But the fascinating thing about both how this works with elephants and kind of the meta level analogy is, one of the things we discovered long ago in humanity and parts of the world where like elephants stampeding through the village is an actual risk, is that if you really want to make your village safe, the best thing you can do is you make a giant wide open path that goes to the left of your village, that goes around your village, and you make your entrance into the village kind of a small opening in the brush that human beings can go through. And so if the elephant happens to be stomping through, it just follows the path and it'll go completely clear of your village and keep everyone safe and do what you needed to do. And like, you don't have to hunt the elephant or try to climb up on top of the elephant and steer the elephant. Like, you just change the path in front of the elephant, and then it goes where you wanted it to go anyways, in a much safer, simpler manner. And so in the psychology world, this has kind of led to all this body of research around, technical label is choice architecture, like how we frame and serve up choices to clients, because it turns out how you put those choices in front of clients, kind of like how you shape the path of the elephant, really matters and steers them, right? This is why the retirement world got so excited about defaulting people into retirement plans with automatic enrollment, because auto enrollment was a version of, well, just change the path. So if they are going to be their, lazy elephant that just stomps along, they're going to stomp their way right into participating in their 401k plan. So that's
Right.
the elephant and the rider and the path analogy.
So in my mind, helping people understand who they are with their money, their identity around their money, is another way of looking at how do we, clear the path for the elephant. Because if we can help people understand, what their unique version of true wealth is, what their unique version of success is, what a healthy financial identity means to them, then they'll be more likely to follow suit with our recommendations. And this was all brought about with James Clear and Atomic Habits. And he talks about that healthy change is identity, processes, and outcomes. And we in the financial world, we've primarily focused on processes and outcomes. What are your goals? Oh, you need to save this much at this rate of return for da 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 da, and you'll get to your goal. And that leads to shame and guilt, because people come back to you and go, well, I didn't do it, but I really should. Or they run into you in the grocery store and they go, yeah, I've been meaning to call you because I really know I should really come in and see you. But getting that identity component in place. So, James Clear talks about, if you have that identity and then you have the processes and you have the outcomes, people are going to be more likely to change their habits. And we have missed that opportunity to walk alongside our clients in creating those healthy financial identities. And I think we need to get creative in this industry on how we're talking to clients, how we're helping them explore their identities, and whether they, want to change them or not, because we can't force anybody to do, to save so much per month for so long at this rate of return.
So I guess I'm still trying to visualize what are financial identities in this framework that I'm trying to change, to get them to then change their processes and outcomes. Can you share a little bit more of what does that mean, or how does that, I guess, show up in not healthy ways in our traditional planning world? What are the not good identities?
Yeah, so I think for what I've experienced in doing this in different, workshops and conversations that I've overheard, or stories that people have shared with me, there's plenty of positive ones. And the positive ones, around earning, giving, building, growing, saving, spending, great. We want to build on those. What's working? How do we want to continue that trajectory? But I would say the majority of people out there have financial issues along with other issues. But so some of the stories that I've heard, one gal shared a memory that her mom would always be putting money into a little jar in a can, and put it up on the shelf in the cabinet in the kitchen. And this is our someday money. This is our someday money. And her parents were, so she remembered her mom. She remembered her mom saving, dollars and taking them to bank and saving. And then she remembered that her parents were tragically killed in a car accident.
Oh.
And the message she got out of all of that was, live life now. You don't know what's going to happen. So when she participated in this workshop, she was deeply in debt. She had no savings because she just pretty much lived for the moment. And so in questioning that, to ask her, how is that, because if something's working for somebody, I can't sit there and say, well, you really need to save for this, elusive line called retirement that is a whole nother topic of what our financial industry has done. But, I'm not going to change her way if she thinks this is a great way to live. But she wasn't. She didn't like being in debt, and she didn't like the fact that she didn't have anything saved. So then, and talking to her about, well, what might need to happen for you to look at trying on a different identity, trying on, I am a good saver. I have a healthy financial life. What would that look like? And what would be some baby steps for you to start testing that water? Well, she thought, well, I might need to start hanging out with different people, because I go out with people and we just go out to eat all the time. Wow, changing your friend group, that's a really big step. That's going to be really scary. What else might need to happen? Well, I might need to sign up for my 401k auto deposit, and that might mean I have less. So there were things that she saw, and it was going to be a lot of hard work. But what would be, a baby step, for her to move in that direction and to try on that new identity of, I am a good saver. And good saving means she's going to pay down the debt. All right. Well, would you be willing to come up with a debt reduction strategy? And what would you want to, do on it? And kind of walking her through what her options were and trying on little bits and pieces. So that was, that was one situation. Again, this was in a workshop, so she was not a client of mine. But, hearing stories like that, and then knowing that, in my work with my clients, we will do that as part of our journey of financial health. So this Fingerprints to Footprints is an 1.5 hour long session that I do with our clients that enter into what we now call it's a year-long engagement of a journey of financial health.
So that really helps of trying to visualize to me like where the identity layers create problems, right? I get it. Someone had a watch saving behavior coupled with the tragic events where those people never got to use their savings, and to say, well, I don't want to have that happen to me. I don't want that to be my life. So off this person goes in a live in the moment, you only live once kind of spending behavior, and then get into all the problems that often comes from that.
Mm-hmm.
It resonates to me as well in the context of, yeah, when you start with something that's that deep and personally traumatic, yeah, I would imagine basically every possible bit of advice of, well, you should probably save less, you should probably spend less and save more, is not going to make any possible dent in this person's behavior, right? Like just saying like,
Right.
well, don't you know how to open a 401k plan, and like you should save more, finger
Right.
wagging, start here, like, yeah, that advice has no prayer given the prior life experiences that person has had.
Right. And it can be, a lot. Again, what I've seen is just the stories. They're heart wrenching. They're heart endearing. There's so much out there. Can it be everything from, how people earn a living? I remember my first job was this, and I remember a conversation. My first job was working for this accountant and stapling tax returns. He was during tax season, and I was working with another high school student, and we were just stapling tax returns. And I was having a conversation with this other person that we were from different high schools, and this guy yelled at us that we were talking too much, and he just told us to get to work. And and that had an impression on this person, and it changed. I would never go into that line of business, because everybody who is in that line of business is mean and nasty and just money grubbing, and
Uh-huh.
it's like, well, is that true? Is it always true? Was there a time that might not be true? So being able to pose questions and just kind of explore it with people. And would you be willing to try on something else around that if you're wanting to get into a new career path, but you're so set against, an industry that you would possibly avail yourself of making more money? You might be shooting yourself in the foot, over the long run. So, again, there's this fine line that in our industry, it's like, well, we're not psychologists, and we're not supposed to figure everybody's mental health out. But to me, it was a way to at least open the door, have additional conversations with clients to, get them to think about who they are with money, and what it would mean to possibly do it a little bit differently. And I know Ted Klantz talks about, when you look at a belief system and you talk about changing it, it's like going to a foreign country. Again, are you going to have to speak a new language? Are you going to have to learn a new language? Are you going to have to dress differently and talk differently and hang out with different people? And your whole life can change sometimes if you want to head down a different path.
So now take us back again to, how do we start getting clients to change some of these like deep-seated identities that are so driving their behavior because of sometimes fairly dramatic or traumatic experiences that put them there? How do
Yeah.
we get them to change?
Well, that is the question. I don't know that we do get them to change. If they want to change, if they're
Mm,
uncomfortable enough, they may want to change. I've gotten to a point in life where I'm not going to change anybody. I have a hard enough time changing myself. But if I can create an awareness, if I can help them look in a mirror and see how their belief systems lead them to certain behaviors, and that behavior is something they either want to build on, and I am a cheerleader and helping them create agency when they have wins, and like let's build on those wins. Or if they see something that's not working for them, and I may want to try something different on. Yes, the majority of clients, that financial advisors are engaged with have been doing enough things right that they're usually headed in the right direction. If they can afford to hire us, if they're working with us, they've usually gotten to a place of, quote unquote, financial success in their lives. But there's always going to be slight trajectory shifts, so how are we talking to your adult children about money? How are we, do you have parents in your life that you are going to have some financial implications of walking alongside them in the aging process? And so there's always going to be these opportunities to walk alongside clients in a way that requires us to ask good questions and to dig deeper and to find ways to, lift them up and encourage them to have a healthy, financial identity.
Well, now it strikes me, or it helps connect the dots for me to what you were saying earlier, that part of this is, is simply talking about, what are some of those memories that are sticking out in your mind, which probably means they were particularly formative experiences. How is that showing up in your life today, which helps people articulate what some of these belief sets may have turned into. And what I'm kind of realizing is sort of the key question around it, that I forget exactly how you would worded it, but I think something to the effect of is that working for you right now? Like,
Hmm.
because if it is, right, my client of the time who didn't want to buy anything international, like, she had a very sizable portfolio, like, buy US starting in the 1950s still worked out
Yeah.
quite
Quite
well
well.
for her. So, right, very much to that vein, I didn't have the language to ask the question then, but I'm quite confident that if I said, like, is that working for you? She would say,
Yeah.
have you seen my portfolio? Like,
Yeah.
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 So she had, it was good to finally understand why she was so adamantly against it, but I can also now see that in retrospect, like, and she would have had no interest in changing that behavior, which means anything even trying would have just been wasted effort.
Yeah, so then what do you do with that? I mean, in alignment with her goals, if she's on a, path to accomplish her goals, then, maybe you're sitting okay. Maybe we might
Yeah.
need to do some more harvesting, loss or gain harvesting along the way to make sure you stay on track for this. So, there's
Mhm.
always 100 different ways to get to the
Right.
the
Right.
same place. Then people don't change many times because something is working for them in that
Right.
uncomfortable situation. There's a reason why people say stuck. So something's working for them or something's not working for them. And, to just have the conversations and get them to a place where either they want to change or not. And it's not our job to get them to change.
So now take us back. You said in the context of your firm, this is now culminated into it's like a year-long journey of financial health process. So can you walk us through that planning process? Like, if I say, Danielle, this sounds great. I definitely need this help because I got a few things that I know are not working for me. Uh, so I want to sign up and become a client. Like, can you just walk us through the process? Like, how does this work? What happens when and where in this year long process for you?
What I found wasn't working was you create this financial plan. You'd give them their financial plan. You'd walk them through the plan. You'd tell them, okay, here's the things you need to do. And you'd close the plan and they'd walk out the door and put it on a shelf and never look at it again.
Right.
And so I was like, why aren't people taking the advice? And so my attempt to help guide people and to get them to either take advice or to take steps towards, forward movement was to say, all right, we're going to walk alongside you a little bit longer. We're going to, put this process, this journey of financial health. We are going to, get all of your data. We are going to use some of our own proprietary tools and some of the tools we have from, Money Quotient, from, my years and years and years of getting ideas from all these amazing people that are out there. And we're going to put together a really good plan. We use Money Guide Pro, Wealth Studios. We use, a lot of the great software that's out there. And we're going to meet with you initially, get to know you, explain our process, decide if it's a fit for you. With what you've shared with us so far about what your assets look like, what you've got for us to work with, we'll come up with a scope of service, what we're going to be doing, and then we'll enter into the financial planning engagement. You have up to a year to complete this, because we know, everybody's busy, but we also want to commit to you that you will have our attention. So, we're only going to take on a certain number of clients because this process is something you will have our full attention. So, then we've got the nice portals where we securely upload all of their data. We send them a data gatherer that, again, depending on the scope of service, we get all of this, all of the bits and pieces and the additional questionnaires, and we get to know them. We get to know their money history. We get to know their.
So share with us more, like what tools, what things are you using at this point? Sound like you've, as you said, you're the cook that has iterated. So I'm sure you've been through a lot of the tools over time. So what's actually in the process now? Like, what am I getting asked to do or fill out as I've gotten through our initial fit meeting, like I'm getting ready for, I guess, the first planning meeting?
Some of the tools we use are from Money Quotient. What are you looking forward to during retirement? What are you concerned about? Tell us who is impacted by your financial decisions. Again, they have some questionnaires that we utilize that are more extensive than that, but that's some of the things that are on the questionnaires. And then we have a data gatherer that we created. It's just asking for all the basics, the Social Security, all of your 401ks, your insurance policies, all the data gatherers that are out there. That's just our version of that. And then we have the secure portal for everybody to be able to upload that. My office goddess, Molly, will get that all put into Money Guide Pro. We'll go over all of the data, kind of pick everything apart. If I need to get insurance illustrations, we'll go back and forth with the client a little bit, getting more data, getting, fine tuning of that data, more clarification, etc. Then we'll sit down with them with the Money Guide Pro software and have a Zoom meeting and start talking about what are the goals, what the numbers behind those goals, because a lot of people, again, they don't know. They don't,
So
we just want to retire at age 65 and go sit on a beach and with a cocktail in our hand. Yeah, that's what you think, but that's not really what you want.
So I want to make sure I understand this flow. So you're getting mostly like the quantitative data, the numbers data stuff that they're sending in after they've agreed to become a client, but before the first planning meeting. you're loading all the underlying data into Money Guide, but we haven't had any questions about goals that we're shooting for yet. It's like you're getting the input data, but there's no goals projections yet because the goals conversation comes in the next meeting.
Right. Right. We've played with
Okay.
it back and forth where, they could actually go into the software themselves and upload their own goals. And people go, we don't know. We don't know. I mean, the one you get is just what they've been told they think they want. There might be, there's a boat, or there's a house in Phoenix, or it's so interesting that you wrap this back around from the very beginning to the very beginning of our conversation. People think they have goals, but when it comes down to it, yeah.
So what do you do in that meeting? What do you do or ask in that meeting to try to get to the actual goals, the goalie goals, not the this seems like it's supposed to be the goals?
Yeah. Well, this again is where some of the qualitative questioning comes in. And again, whether it is from, money quotient or from the plethora of resources out there, and it's very, it's organic, it's intuitive. It's back to the chef standing over a stove, it's like, well, that question leads to this question, and then let's unpack that a little bit and tell me the why. So, here's an example. So, you want a boat. Well, tell me why you want a boat. Well, because, when I was growing up, we always spent our summers on, a lake and on a boat. And so is what you want a boat, or is what you want to be able to create family memories? Oh, well, maybe I really just, because the boat was really a pain. It was a lot of maintenance, and it was always broken. And, so maybe I want to create family memories. Well, what would be the family memories that are important to you? Well, maybe spending time at the cabin we already own, but we never have time to go, so it just starts, pulling apart, and you get to an entirely different place. With these conversations. And sometimes there might be a physical goal that we need to, set a number to. And other times it's just a lifestyle that we need to figure out how do we want to create a sustainable income stream to have you accomplish that?
So it sounds like much of this kind of stems from tell me a goal, and then I give you a goal, and then you say why. And then
sometimes,
what are your goals? I want a boat. Why do you want a boat? And here we go.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes, again, every single client is a little bit different, but the one that the goals that people never talk about is, oh, I'm going to get divorced, or I'm going to, somebody important to me is going to die, or I may need to spend the last 4 years of my life in a long-term care facility that Medicare doesn't pay for. So how do we help prepare people for, Mitch Anthony calls them life quakes? How do we help people, prepare for life? Goals are great. And that, yes, I want to send, if you want to send your kids to college or whatever form of education is out there in 3 years, because it's all changing so fast, that's fantastic. Let's create a trajectory that you're saving something for your future education, because education is important to you and your family. And it might not be, we used to have the software, okay, this is this college and it's going to cost this, and you need to save this, and this in order to send your kid to that school. What percentage do you want to pay for? And here's how you need to go. So it might be just expanding the goals and creating a little softness around them to where they're not hard and fast, but they're based on your values, what's important to you and your family, and how do we get you on that trajectory, knowing that your destination is probably going to change based on life happens.
So this second meeting, or I guess like first, once they've said they want to move forward, is this goals exploration process tell me a goal. Okay, now tell me really why you've got that goal until you get down to what I'm presuming is just a more concrete, deeper underlying level of goals. And now we're feeling like these are probably really the goals and not just the first stated goal that wasn't really a serious goal.
Yeah, and there's going to be the replacement vehicle. There's some pretty easy ones that,
Right.
as people look down the road, what you need to do that, just needs to be incorporated into, you have to have some good savings in order to be able to do that. So yes, there are going to be quantitative goals, and they're going to have qualitative aspects to them. And so we will, we'll crunch the numbers, we'll look at all the tools they have, we'll help clients understand, what type of tools. The big one is cash value life insurance. Well, you bought this 20 years ago.
Right.
Let's take a look at this and look at how it's still serving you, what you might want to change about it. And how do you want to utilize this tool to move you towards what's important to you? So we'll come up with some advice based on a lot of things, whether it's, let's talk with your attorney and get that estate plan updated that you haven't looked at in 20 years, or let's consolidate these 401ks and put them into, something that reflects where you're at in life right now, or, let's look at putting together an intentional spending plan where you know where your money is going instead of asking where it went, and so here's the advice, but we know that you're not going to take this advice unless you decide it's important to you. So why don't you decide which one of these would be your priority over the next 1 month? How would you like to line this up? 2 months? And this is where the accountability piece that you talk about comes in, is, so they've got a, here's the advice, but it's based on, why is this advice important to you? How does it reflect your values? And then when do you want to have this done by? And so we've got a year to at least head you in this direction. And then we'll talk, because at this point they may or may not be assets under management. We may not, we may or may not be, we may not want to manage their assets.
So that's you talked earlier about $3,000 to $8,000 planning fees. So you're a planning fee, and you also do assets under management, but it's separate because this process is an active year-long process. So you get like a planning fee to do this journey of financial health planning process, and then if they decide to implement with you ongoing, then that's a separate AUM fee for those services when they get there.
Right. And then we have service models based on the complexity and how much advice do they, is warranted from year to year. And, and this, it again, just helps people to say, yeah, that one's been bugging me. I know I need to get that estate planning done. All right. Well, next time you come talk to us, you got it done.
So are we still in the second meeting here as we're?
No.
All right. So sequence these stories. So meeting number 2, like we're getting the goals and then we're drilling deeper on the goals. So I guess like what's the end of that meeting? Like when are you done with that meeting? And then what comes next in the process?
Yeah, so each of our planning meetings are going to be, about an hour and a half. Some of them are in person, some of them are by Zoom. But once we gather everything, then we have it. It's called a work meeting. And this is going back and forth on the goals. This is kind of setting the quantitative side. Then there's time in between us and the plan delivery. So the plan delivery, if people are actually not wanting the hard binder anymore, it's like, just send it all in, over, we'll put it all in a nice e-file, and that's fantastic. So then we will do the plan delivery, and we will go over, what is all included in that. Here's the advice. Here is what we, based on all of the work sessions, and here's the roadmap that's going to take you down that journey. We use Advisist educational stuff. So, if we're recommending that they do a charitable remainder trust, or we're, recommending, especially more complex planning, I love Advisist, background technician.
Like pre-printed pages that are like explainers of what the offering is.
Very user friendly. Yeah, very, very user client facing friendly. If we're suggesting a SEP over a simple, why are we suggesting this, and how do these tools work? What's the difference between a cash value life insurance policy and a term policy? So if we're recommending something, this is going to help, and it's very personalized. So we're able to give them some education. So we will do the plan delivery, and then here, take this home, go marinate, talk about it, look through this, come back, we'll do a follow-up and implementation. This is where, the what, why, how, who, when, what are you stepping into? What do you want to move forward with? We will then do the fifth meeting is the financial fingerprints to footprints. So that's my process of helping people understand their, mindsets and belief systems. And because we felt that sometimes people get stuck, they'll say, yeah, I want to do this, but why am I not able to follow through with it?
So the questions that we were talking about earlier around money memories and how they've impacted our beliefs and now that's showing up behaviors, whether we want to do anything about that. So that's coming here in like the fourth or fifth meeting for you now.
Fifth meeting. Yep.
Okay, so this isn't the lead in of like we're starting with these questions out of the gate. This comes much later in the process for you.
It's a deeper dive. I mean, we might, we might touch on it surface wise right at the beginning, but people, when they come in for financial planning, they want, you're going to look at my numbers and you're going to tell me what to do.
Yeah.
Like, yes, and yes, and you're going to get a little bit more.
Interesting, because I'd been wondering a little bit as you were describing the process of just what clients come in and say, like, hey, I would love to spend time with you getting into my deep early money memories and just how that works. So I'm struck by this, that no, like you start off with a sort of like the place that most people come to us with, which, as she says, like, here's my numbers, tell me what to do. But then when it's time to start implementing and moving forward, so I guess, help me understand how you set up this meeting. So if this is meeting number 5, I guess meeting number 4, you're going to set this up. So talk to us a little bit more about what actually happens in meeting number 4 and how do you set them up for this is what's coming in meeting number 5?
We have it all laid out. I mean, coming in, when I meet with a prospect, we'll go through, this is what you're going to experience with us.
Okay.
This is the journey of financial health. It's on our website, and we will dig into this. I won't tell them exactly what it's about, but as we go through our time of working together, we're going to dig a little bit deeper. That's just because it's who we are, and what we add value to our experience, and we think it will help you be successful in your financial life, in creating financial health. So they will know right up front that we're going to get a little bit deeper, but they don't know the intricacies and the depth of it. And then the final meeting is me cheering them on, going, wow, this was fantastic that you got your estate planning documents put together, and wow, we decided to work with you on the AUM side, and you consolidated these 401ks, and we've asset allocated them. We've done all of this stuff, and this is what we're going to move forward with from year to year. So, and then from from there, it moves into our different service levels, depending on how complex, are we going to be meeting with your CPA every year? Are we going to be, talking with your kids about, helping you lend them money to buy a house, or, what does it look like moving forward?
And so how does that ongoing service levels and fee work with, if I'm presuming like by now, if they were transitioning assets, they've moved assets and they're an AUM client, like do you have like an AUM fee and a planning fee, or like minimums or tiers? Like how do you actually differentiate service levels if clients converge into an assets model?
So the financial planning comes first. I drew the line in the sand back in, probably about 2010, 2011, that it's like to me, it's the plan has to come first. And even though it isn't a plan set in stone, it's just, I can't know my client. I can't give good advice unless I, do this planning process. So the service level that we work with assets under management, I've got it. I live in the Rocky Mountains. I'm very focused on the outdoors. I love being outdoors. It's who I am. It's how I've done a lot of my branding. So our 3 different service levels are creek, river, and ocean.
Okay.
And each of those service levels provides a little bit different. I'm the cook. I'm not the baker. So I end up giving people probably more, than usually fits into a service level, just because that's who we are. But our ocean clients are the complex ones. They're the ones that have, 2 or 3 different trusts. They may have a charitable trust. They may have different revocable trusts or irrevocable trusts. They have different tools, and they're complex. They're usually retired. They will have family members that we're bringing into conversations.
So are these defined by asset minimums? Like you have to be a $2 million client to get ocean. You can get river at $1 million?
Not necessarily, but we do have, I don't want to say we have minimums for our river. We have some smaller clients, but there is a minimum fee, to make it viable. And then at ocean, there's a maximum fee, maximum of 60,000, because I don't feel that, if I'm managing somebody's, complex life and they've got, 15 million, I'm probably not going to be providing them a whole lot more than the, $5 million, it's, and again, I'm learning as we go with this. I continue to, we're all just trying to figure it out and bring a level of service that fits for clients and is going to serve them in a way that's, beneficial and meaningful.
And what's the minimum fee on river? Like how does that span?
So our river is going, well, our bottom level is creek. We used to have another one below that stream. And then it was like, okay, I got really, is a creek bigger than a stream, or is a stream bigger than a creek? So we just let's just combine them. It's a creek. So our minimum annual cost on that is $5,000. And I've got some older clients that I've got in, but we're not any new client we're taking on. We have a minimum annual AUM of 5,000, and so if that's it's at 1.15%, so it's a little less than 500,000. And there's always exceptions to the rule, but for the most part, that's what we try to, because we want to feel that, again, we're bringing value, and the amount of work that goes in behind the scenes on all of this is, as we know, a lot more than any client will ever see.
Right. So what does the business look like now overall? Like how how many clients do you serve? What's overall scope of the practice? I don't know if you measure by AUM or revenue. So help us understand what the current state of affairs is.
All right. This is where I wanted to talk about defining success.
Yeah.
Because our industry is very AUM focused, and how many clients do you have, and what is your that's how much of our industry defines success.
Mm-hmm.
I love talking about success with some different metrics. Part of my definition for success is, am I able to spend time with my family and doing the things I love and being here in the Roaring Fork Valley and being outdoors, and yes, I've created a lifestyle practice. And that has changed over different seasons. And this is something else that's really important about, who Wealth by Design is, and about who I am is, there are seasons of life, and success to me meant something different in my younger years than it does now.
Yeah.
So, so where we are at, we're at about with assets under advisement and under investment, we've got about 35 million. We've got 35 families that we're working with, and one profit sharing plan that we're involved with. So we're, a smaller practice. It's my office goddess, Molly, primary, client service guru. And she does a ton. I mean, she does everything paperwork, and I thank God for her every day.
So
And
have you scaled like number of clients up and down as the practice evolved, as seasons have changed?
yeah, when I inherited the life insurance practice, when I absorbed that, way back when when Mark wanted to go teach school, we had, a couple hundred clients, and all with
Right.
life insurance products and annuities, and, reaching out to everybody and say, okay, this is looking very different moving forward.
Right.
I will still, I still get calls from clients who bought a life insurance policy from him, 30 years ago. And I will still service that, but they're not part of my service model. I will still, if my name is on an old insurance policy, I will help you figure out what needs to do with it. But they do not get a call every year going, it's time to review that insurance policy. And
Right.
I've tried doing the, I don't like the term firing clients, but we scaled back quite a bit on the number of clients we've had over the years.
So how did you move them on if you don't like firing them?
Well, that's just the terminology, and it was hard because you want to, but if they're not into it, then again, you can't force a horse to drink. So, it would just be asking them to change the rep of record on their account. It would be asking, an old broker dealer. Some of my old broker dealers just wanted to take on they would just absorb it. And
like as house accounts kind of thing.
Yep. Just move it to a house account and you're good to go. So, yeah, over time, we've gone from probably, upward of, up to 200 plus households down to 35.
So what surprised you the most on this journey of building an advisory business?
Maybe how fun and creative it is. I enjoy that. I enjoy, coming up with, I think I've been surprised at my resourcefulness, my creativity, maybe my fortitude, my fortitude, and sometimes my stubbornness. Yeah, there's times when, if I compare myself to the rest of the industry, I can get down on myself. you go to conferences and you sit in and you talk to people and you go, am I really successful at this? Am I, is this really what it's supposed to be about? But when I look at what's important to me and what I have created, and that I get to speak with Michael Kitces and have a podcast, that's pretty darn cool. And so that defining success for yourself is so important, and not looking at, that fear of missing out, or that, FOMO of what else is going on with everybody. We need to just keep our own head on straight. Ralph Waldo Emerson, can I read his idea of success?
Sure.
So, to laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics, and to endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, to leave the world a little bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition, to know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. This is to have succeeded.
So what was the low point for you on this journey?
Very, 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 very early on, when I had just started, supporting my husband in the insurance side of it, I got the news that my daughter's biological father had been killed in a motorcycle accident.
Oh.
And it completely, that was a pivotal point in saying, why am I in this business? I made a lot of mistakes. I got in a call from his attorney representing his estate. I thought he was going to do right by my daughter, who was due a lot of back, child support, and I didn't get the proper advice. I didn't seek the proper advice. I thought this guy was going to represent her and that she was going to get some money out of the deal, and she didn't. And I beat myself up a long time for not doing right by my daughter. And it's a big reason why I decided to pursue the career path, with the planning and the digging deeper. Because I just felt that I did a big disservice to her, and had to, look at what it meant to let go of that, and what it meant to learn from it, and what it meant to move on, and how I could show up in the world better for having experienced that. So that was a painful time. I know it doesn't really have to do with the business itself, but more of my why for being in this business.
Yeah. So what do you know now about the business itself that you wish you could go back and tell you from 15, 20 years ago as you were transitioning in this direction?
Just seek wisdom from others. Again, there's so many. The beautiful thing with technology and what you're doing, Michael, is really just having the conversations with people about how they're doing it, what's working for them, what's not working for them. And everybody is so unique that, 25 years ago, we didn't have this. So just soak it all in, ask questions from other advisors that are out there on how they do it, and be willing to fail. I think that's something that I've always had a hard time with. One of my my messages in general was, if you can't do it right, don't do it. So I've probably not scaled. I've probably not become a bigger business, and I'm okay with that, because there's that fear of failure that's still sitting pretty strongly in me. And at the same time, I am so grateful every day that I have the beautiful business that I have. I have the amazing clients that I have. I get to work in an industry that allows me to do it the way I want to do it and supports me in that.
So what other advice would you give younger, newer advisors looking to come into the profession today?
Well, if I may speak especially to women,
Yeah,
um,
please.
I just think we have such a unique opportunity to show up in our integrity and authenticity. And if we're brave, step into a space that, honestly has been dominated by male energy for quite some time. And we need it, and there's a lot of good things about it. But I think bringing a softness to this industry and finding a fit that is unique to you in your life season. You may be a young female advisor that, you may have a kiddo at home. You may be, just kind of getting into the industry and don't have a real set career, track yet. But there are all sorts of ways to define success in this business. And, if you just make sure you know yourself and know that you are going to continuously be growing and continuously evolving in who you are and how you show up in this business, it's a fantastic career path.
So as we come to the end, this is a podcast about success, and one of the themes we always talk about is just the word success means different things to different people, and sometimes different things to us as we go through life, as you said, the seasons. So you had shared a little bit earlier about what success looks like now. I appreciated the Ralph Waldo Emerson quote, but I guess help us understand, how has the definition of success changed for you over the seasons?
Early on, it was more about the money. It was more about, gathering assets, or very early on selling product, and then shifting into successes is really helping people feel like they're succeeding and creating a healthy financial trajectory, and making sure people felt like they had somebody as a thinking partner, as an advocate, or, as a coach, when life happens. I remember a client's husband passed away, and she came up to me after his service, and she says, "I need you more than ever." And, to be able to walk alongside her over the past, 12 years, and she's a giver, so I have to keep her from giving it all away. But, guiding her along that path and having her, the smile on her face and the peace of mind that, I hear from her kids, "Thanks so much for being there for mom and helping us to understand what's going on," and all of this. That is huge. And now it's also encouraging, it's encouraging other advisors. It's encouraging other people in this space that we've been been able to walk for the past 28 years. And I, just being a cheerleader, again, I appreciate all of those who have walked before me, and I hope to be one of those who can encourage somebody today through your vehicle to again live this industry as it continues to unfold in it's changing fast, and I'm excited to see that.
I am too. Well, thank you so much, Danielle, for joining us on the Financial Advisor Success Podcast.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much, Michael.
Thank you.
Want even more ideas, tools, and resources on how to break through to the next level of success as a financial advisor? Check out the leading financial planning industry blog, Nerd's Eye View, at www.kitsis.com, where Michael covers the latest practice management trends and financial planning strategies. And by joining the members section, you can earn IMCA and CFP continuing education credits, along with exclusive member content. Get it all now at www.kitsis.com.